All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because in today's video, we're going to be talking about KLIP, the Kraneshares China Internet and Covered Call Strategy ETF. More specifically, we are going to be going over what we think their first dividend for 2024 is going to be. It currently has an ex-dividend date saying on the 29th, but I did see something on Google where it says that they are expected an ex-dividend date on the 27th and a dividend of 63 cents. How true is this? We're going to dive into that today by going over what we think their distribution might be. And I'm also going to go over just kind of like their share price, their underlying stock KWEB, and how many of the underlying stocks have been performing for KWEB, not only for the past month, but for kind of like the past year of 2023, just so we could put it into perspective and see, is KLIP potentially a good buy or should be looking to sell it? And currently, I do think it's actually a good buy. I do like KLIP in terms of what their underlying stock is, and we'll get into all that in this video. So if that does sound good, we're up to 3,966 subscribers. Please do remember to subscribe if you haven't yet done so. I want to say, just before we get into this video, I am a holder of KLIP. KLIP actually is my biggest position. I hold about almost $3,000 worth of KLIP. I have 150 shares and have an average share price of about $18.51. Now KLIP, you can see my $18.51 is nowhere close to the current share price of $14.69. KLIP over the past couple months has really been sliding down, and it's been sliding down for pretty much its max price history, as you can see here, January 2023 all the way down to current, which is January 2024. Now, when looking at KWEB in the same time period, we could see here that it had a pretty similar path, to be honest, to KLIP. And KLIP actually tracks KWEB, which is the China internet sector. And KWEB, I can get into them as well. They hold a bunch of huge China internet companies. We're talking about Tencent, Alibaba, PDD. We have NetEase as well. So when the underlying stocks within KWEB do bad, that's when we see KWEB's share price fall, and that's where we coincidentally see KLIP share price fall. Now, if KWEB was to appreciate back to previous levels of up to about $80-$90 or so, we'll see a massive increase in KLIP as well. And what we're trying to debunk today is not only the dividend, but also is KWEB potentially in kind of like a downtrend in a recession, or will it be able to recover back to these levels where it has historically been at about $40 or so? Now, we'll get into that in a bit, and we'll get into all those companies. But first, what I want to do is I want to talk about this dividend. So we're looking at 63 cents for the January dividend in 2024. Now, do I think this is entirely true? I don't think so. And the reason being is because, look, right here it says T10. What this basically means is T10 and T5 refers to the distribution estimate ranges provided 10 and 5 business days. So we're looking at 10 business days for the month of January before the payable date. So if the payable date is January 31st, we need to look at what KLIP was trading at on January 21st, because that will give us kind of our estimate to go off of here. So today is actually January 22nd. So whatever it was paying at before, we'll say 15.12. And what I want to do here is I want to put 15.12 into our calculator here. And it says here that we can expect a dividend between 3.5 to 4% of this 312 price point, because we're talking about the price point 10 days prior to the payable date, which was at 15.12. So what I'm going to do here is let's go on the higher end. We're going to do the 4%. And you could see here it's at 60, we'll call it 61 cents. Now, this is not necessarily the 63 cents that they're estimating. That's why I'm not necessarily sure why they did. But I say on the higher end, KLIP can expect to pay a dividend of about 61 cents or so. Now, for the month of January, we've seen a pretty big drop to the downside, actually. We've gone from about $16 in share price all the way down to $14.50 pretty much. Now, that is a huge drop for KLIP, and that is also coming off of the fact that KWEB had a pretty big down month, going from about $26 or so all the way down to about $23. And this is approaching pretty solid lows for KWEB. KWEB actually did hit about $17 in 2023, which it doesn't necessarily show here. It shows this as a low, but if KWEB is hitting a low, that means KLIP is most likely going to be hitting an all-time low, and that could be presenting good buying opportunities for KLIP, just because KWEB is the Chinese internet sector. It tracks some of the biggest Chinese internet companies in China, and you could see here they have Tencent, Alibaba, PDD. What I'm going to show you here is these are not small companies. You're talking about $320 billion, $170 billion. We have PDD, $187 billion. These are not small companies that are pretty much going to go and disappear anytime soon, in my opinion. And most of these companies have been performing a little bit poorly over the past year as they kind of entered out of a massive bull run, as you can see. And so that is why we're seeing these downtrends in KWEB and in KLIP as well. So now is the question, are we in a recession for these companies here, and will we be able to pull out of it and potentially see a return in KLIP? I'm not sure, but what I do think is they're approaching great valuations for all of these companies. You look at the max price chart history of Alibaba. 2015 it was trading about $60, which is roughly about the marker that it's been trading at right now, which is pretty much close to the all-time lows. PDD, you look at the max, PDD has actually had a pretty good run. You can see here over the past year, it's one of the few stocks in KWEB that KWEB tracks that has actually been on a pretty significant bull run here, appreciating over 100% in the past year. But we go to ones like Tencent as well, and you can see here that for its max chart history, it's appreciated fairly well up from 2010, but over the past 5 years or so, it's pretty much back to its all-time lows, trading under $40, which normally the stock should probably trade at about $60 or so. On to the next one, we have Meituan. I feel like I'm absolutely butchering that, but you can see here once again back to all-time lows, as we really had a really bull run for 2020 and 2021 for the Chinese internet sector, which we've seen in KWEB. If I just go back here, we can see that. But a lot of these stocks are now potentially in a downtrend or kind of entering into a recession phase, in my opinion. And that's why we're seeing these low prices in KLIP and in KWEB. But you know what the great thing is? KWEB has actually held up pretty good. I understand it's been falling quite a bit, but you got to understand they've also been paying out a 40% to 50% dividend at the same time as KWEB has been sliding. And if KWEB was able to appreciate, we'd see a really big boost in the dividend percent of KLIP, and we'd also see a pretty big and significant increase in the stock price. And that's the real reason why I hold KLIP and I hold so many shares, is because I am bullish for their long-term future. I think this is a downtrend currently in KWEB, and that KLIP could potentially prosper if we see a big rebound in KWEB, which I do think is coming, but might take some time as the kind of recession fears and everything in China kind of boils over. So that's just kind of my opinion on KLIP and how it's been performing lately and what we might expect for the current dividend. We're talking about 60 to 61 cents, something like that, maybe closer to 58 cents, depending on where it is in terms of the 3.5% to 4% ratio. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did enjoy, please remember to subscribe. We're up to 3,966 subscribers. I'll keep you guys updated anything on KLIP. Also the yield max funds, even though I'm not necessarily investing in them, I'll keep you guys updated. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed the high dividends, and I will see you guys in the next video.